Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, we'll be talking about the for loop in Java. So this is what a for loop looks like in Java. All right, so you start off with the keyword for. Actually, before we get into all of those details, let me just explain what a for loop is and what people use it for. So a for loop is used when you want to run a certain piece of code multiple times, okay? Depending on a condition. So here inside of the body of the for loop, you'll have what are called statements, basically the code that you want to run, right? And it could be multiple things. Here I just have one line, okay, which is this. It's just to print out the string what's up, okay? All right. Now, how do we create a for loop? Well, let's take a look at the header here. This right here is the header, okay? And we start off with the keyword for, and then in parentheses, there are three parts. First part here, okay, is where you create your variable, okay? Now, you can name your variable whatever you want, but by tradition, or what's common, I should say, is that people name their variable I, okay? I for iteration, right? So that makes sense. So anyway, here I create a variable called I, and I assign the value of 0. So I has the value of 0. And then notice the semicolon, okay? That's the end of the first part. Remember, there are three parts here within parentheses, okay? That's the first part. This here is the first part. The second part is called the conditional statement, okay? And what this is doing is it says, as long as I is less than 5, in this case it's 5, although you could put whatever number you want, okay? As long as I is less than 5, okay, run the code that's inside the body. Okay, so in this case, it'll run 5 times, and I'll explain why in just a second. So that's the second part, okay? And then here we have the third part, which is called the incrementer, okay? So this is a change to the variable, okay? So that eventually it'll get to a point where this is not true, okay? Where I is not less than 5, and then it'll finally exit the loop, okay? So let's step through it. So we have our I equals 0, okay? As long as I is less than 5, print this, and then increment I by 1. So here we start with 0. Is I less than 5? Yes. So it prints it out one time, okay? Then it increments it by 1. So now I is 1, okay? Is 1 less than 5? Yes. So it prints this out again, and then it adds another one to I. So now it's 2, and it goes back to the beginning. Okay, I is now 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. So it runs this again, and then it increments it by 1 again. So now it's 3, and so on. And it just keeps going over and over and over until this is no longer true. Okay, so it'll get to a point where it'll say, is 5 less than 5? No, it's not. So it won't run this again, and it'll just continue on with the rest of the application. Now let's see this in action. So I'm going to click on play, and we'll see here that the string what's up is printed out 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And if we were to change this to 10, of course, it would print it out 10 times, okay? Or 100, or whatever you want, okay? So with a for loop, you get to modify these 3 things here, okay? And I know it can be a bit tricky at first, okay? Just remember there are 3 parts to it, okay? There's the variable creation here, there's the conditional, and then there's the incrementer. Okay. Now, one thing that confuses a lot of beginners, I is less than or equal to 5, and then I would run this, okay? We would actually get 6 of these strings, okay? So don't let the equal sign here throw you off. But it does make sense here that eventually it'll get to a point where 5 is less than or equal to, okay, 5, and so it'll print that additional string onto the console window, okay? So don't get confused by that. Just remember, if there's an equal sign, then it'll print an additional, um, or it'll run the code inside of the body one more time, okay? Another thing is that you should probably pay attention, or you should definitely pay attention to where the iteration starts at, right? So there we're starting from 0. If we were starting from 1, okay, and the conditional statement was still I is less than 5, okay, and we go ahead and run it, you'll see that it only prints it out 4 times, okay? So just keep that in mind, all right? Make sure you understand where the iteration starts at. Does it start at 0? Does it start at 1? Maybe it starts at 10, you know? And if it does start at 10, then this will never be true, and this would never run. So if we run this, you'll see it doesn't print anything, right? So always pay attention to that. Always pay attention to the conditional statement here. And then, of course, here in the incrementer, it doesn't have to be I++. In the incrementer, you could actually decrease if you'd want to. So you could do I minus minus instead of I++. And remember, I++ just adds 1 to the variable, and minus minus just subtracts 1 from the variable. Okay, so it all really depends on how you want your for loop to work. All right, so that is all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.